Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of the Kompelien Mopar channel. If you're a first-time viewer, thanks for joining us. If you did catch our first episode, welcome back. In our first episode, we rebuilt, poor man's rebuild of the 1406 Edelbrock carburetor. And I was just going to put it on off camera, but as soon as I did, I realized there was probably a lot more that we need to cover. So let me show you what we got. Let's get to work. So let me show you what we got. I had to go to Summit, McDonough, and buy this part. I'm sure you can buy it other places. It was like $15, so not a big deal. Makes it a lot easier. Because the issue is this aftermarket carburetor came designed to be used on a Chevrolet. So by buying this adapter, it changes the geometry a little bit and allows us to reuse this stud. And now you'll see here, this is my cruise control. Let's not worry about that. I just put it on there. Even though it's not working, at least it's out of the way. So the throw from the center of the carburetor butterfly shaft to here is too high, and that's where it was installed. And when I installed it, I realized that if you went all the way to idle and tried to go all the way wide open, it wasn't going to pull it. Now another thing I noticed, and since I've never run this truck before, when I put it on here, I realized that the secondaries couldn't open up because it was touching inside the intake manifold. So I also bought this spacer, or I had it, I guess, and that allows the carburetor to be high enough up for both the primaries and the secondary butterflies to open all the way. So let's go over what we got. So this is, most of you guys probably don't have a cruise control, but if you do, that's where it would go. Now this bracket was already on this carburetor. This bracket is the part we needed to put this on a Chevrolet. I'm sorry, on a Chrysler. And this is our kickdown. Now there's a lot of misconceptions of how to hook this up, how to set this up correctly. So I'm going to crawl underneath the truck and show you how to hook it up to the transmission kickdown lever. So let's go down there now. Alright, so we're underneath the truck, and if you can see this, there's two levers right here. The bottom lever is your shifter, and this top lever is the one we're worried about today. If you can see that, it's spring loaded. And this is what controls the pressure in the transmission for your kickdown and for shift quality. So if you can see right here on the later Dodges, that's the adjustment right there. And I haven't even adjusted yet, so we'll take a look at it. But basically, this lever is going to move back when you go to full throttle. I lost it. And so when we go to full throttle, you got to make sure that this lever is all the way back in order to have the best shift possible. So I'm going to hook this up and we'll crawl back up on top and I'll show you. Alright, so we're hooked up underneath, and what I did here is I just took my springs here and I have the carburetor wide open. Now if your engine's cold, before you go all the way back, you need to make sure that your choke is full open. Otherwise your off idle cam could get in the way. That won't kick in the secondaries won't work. So open that, push this all the way back, and all I did is I took my springs from here to back there, and I'm wide open. So now I want to see on this kickdown control is it adjusted right? And as you can see, I can't go onto this pin, and that's because we're out of adjustment. So more than likely the whole time they were running this, they were never even getting the secondaries to open up. So I'm going to crawl back underneath there and adjust it quick. Okay, so I've been up and down a couple times here, but I went ahead and hooked it up on top on the carburetor. And down here, I took this loose, and I just rotated this lever until it was full travel, and I tightened it up. Now you need to move it back and forth a couple times just to make sure, but it is all the way back now with the throttle wide open. So let's go back up on top. Alright, so we're hooked up underneath, and we come back up here. I took my springs off, and I went back to, of course, all the way to idle. And it's a little loose, but that's pretty normal. So when we go wide open here, well, right now you can see that there's pressure on it. So that lever underneath is all the way as far back as it can go, and that's what you're going to need. So this slot, if you're questioning that, all that's doing is if this were ever to get hung up back there with a branch, a stick, or something, this allows it to go back to idle. So it's just a safety feature. So don't worry about that. So you want it to sit in the back there, right against the back of the stop. So I'm going to go ahead and hook it all back up, and we'll look at it one more time. So be right back. Okay, through the magic of video editing, we're all hooked back up. So let's just recap one more time. This right here is the cruise control. You may or may not have that. Down here is where your throttle is going to attach to. Make sure you leave that just a little bit loose when you're at full idle, so it can go all the way to the idle stop down there. And we have this hooked up and adjusted, so when we go to maximum pursuit, our transmission is going to have the right pressure in it, so you either kick down or it'll shift hard enough or it won't tear up your transmission. So I know you guys are hoping that we were fired up this episode, but I really wanted to go over that because I think there's some misconceptions and possibly wrong ideas of how that's supposed to work. So I promise next episode you will hear this thing run. So please subscribe if you like it, leave a comment, hit the like button. I'd like to hear from you guys. So I guess until next time, let's get to work.